Once again, I want to start by welcoming you all to another section. In the first part, which is the part one, we're able to comprehensively discuss into the concept of libraries, where we advanced several different understanding of the concept of library, in which we're able to also clear the myopic perception held by different persons as to the concept of a library. In that same part, we talked about the objectives of the library, the functions performed by libraries in general, and finally we talked about the history of library. In this Module 2 Part 2, the second section, we shall be taking a look into the types of libraries in the Nigerian society. Having talked about the types of libraries in Nigerian society, we shall concentrate into the discussion of one of the type of the libraries in Nigeria, which is the university library. The university library have been selected because this is a library primarily concerned with students within an academic institution. What then are the types of libraries within a Nigerian society? It is very important to mention at this point that the area today known as Nigeria long existed even before the coming of our colonial masters, the British. Later identified as what is known as Niger area, before the name was given to it as Nigeria, people existed in these colonies and they had a means of sharing information among themselves. And this is referred to as oral tradition. Oral tradition simply implies a process for generation and transfer of information from one generation to another through the word of mouth. Stories were being told to us in the past by our great grandparents. They sit back to narrate the origin of their own society, the different great men that come and went as far as society is concerned, and some of the remarkable achievements that happened in the past. All these were narrated as part of stories that were being told orally by our great grandparents down to our generation, and these stories are hoped to be continued for generations to come. Over time, we have several types of library that exist within the Nigerian society. These types of libraries were determined by certain factors. The nature of their collection is a factor number one that could be used to determine a type of library. Each library have different types of collection. This collection, like I earlier stated, are determined by the information need of the users. The nature of a library is also determined by the pattern of services they render. As you move from one library to the other, the pattern of services they render varies from those libraries to the other. And importantly, are the users of the library. Each library have its own user. Going by the users of the library, you could be able to distinguish from one library to the other. A very good example, we have what is referred to as the school library. These are libraries located in lower institutions of learning. Who are the users of the school library? The pupils and the teachers. The opposite of a school library could be referred to as the academic library. Libraries located in higher institutions of learning such as universities, polytechnics, colleges of education. Who are the users of these academic libraries? The staff, the students, and the researchers. So going by the variations in the type of users, it could also be used to determine a type of library. So as far as type of libraries within Nigerian society is concerned, first and foremost among the type of library, we have what is known as the school library. These are libraries found in lower institutions of learning such as primary and secondary schools. When you go to most schools, you find a smaller place, a room attached to it known as the library. You find somebody in charge of the library, known as the librarian or the teacher librarian. Under a normal circumstance, you are supposed to find books, secondary school textbooks or primary school textbooks, which can be consulted and used by either the students or the teachers to support the curriculum which are being taught in those schools. We also have what is known as the public library. Public library ordinarily are referred to as the People University. These are libraries established to serve the need of every member of a community. Every state in Nigeria have a public library. Example is the Kano State Public Library, the Kogi State Public Library, the Kaduna State Public Library, the Lagos State Public Library. Every state in Nigeria have a public library. Every member of a community is a user of a public library. This is a library that doesn't discriminate based on race. It doesn't discriminate on race. It doesn't discriminate whether you are white or black. It doesn't discriminate whether you are educated or not educated. Social status, whether you are rich or poor. Religion, whether you are a Muslim or a Christian or a traditionalist. Whether you are Hausa or Igbo, a public library is meant for everybody, irrespective of where they operate. No, not everybody could access a school library unless you are a student in that school or you are one among the teachers. But a public library is meant for everybody. Number three among the types of libraries is what is referred to as the special libraries. Libraries established to serve and provide information need of persons within such an organization. They are regarded as special library because they provide special information resources to some special set of people. As the objective of different organizations varies, so are the types of information resources provided by those by libraries attached to them. Ministries, courts, banks, information centers all have libraries attached to them to provide their information need. And these libraries are very important as they serve their need on a regular basis. Another type of library that exists within the Nigerian society is what can be described as private libraries. These are libraries mostly owned and sponsored by individuals and families. In other words, they are private individual collections designed and maintained by individuals, personalities, and families for their own exclusive use. Although such usage may be extended to friends and others by the owners of such libraries. The private collections of some famous personalities in Nigeria actually formed the nucleus of some major libraries in Nigeria. Example, the famous Mumbai House Library contained the collection of the late politician and elder statesman Malam Aminu Kano. Also, the collection of Henry Carr after his death in 1945 was purchased by the Nigerian government to form the nucleus of the University College, Ibadan Library, now referred to as the University of Ibadan. Another type of library that also exists within the Nigerian society is what is referred to as the academic library. The term academic library is used to describe all libraries and institutions of higher learning, such as colleges of education, polytechnic, universities. Academic libraries select, acquire, organize, and preserve available resources for teaching, learning, and research. Academic libraries are ordinarily regarded as the heart of the university. This implies that without the heart, the human body cannot function. Therefore, without the heart, the library, an academic library, a university cannot function. And finally, we have what is referred to as national libraries. They have been developed to contribute their own quota to education, information, preservation of knowledge, and scholarship. There are libraries established to support a nation in the compilation of a comprehensive national bibliography, implementation of the book deposit law, enforcement of copyright law, and a host of other functions. A national library can also be referred to as a public library because it offers all the services of a public in addition to its own peculiar functions. University library, generally referred to as academic library. These are libraries located in high institutions of learning to support teaching, learning, and research. And like I stated earlier, they are regarded as the heart of the university. It is important for you to know at this point that just like the case of the chicken and the egg, which was the first that actually came into existence, the debate has been ongoing and it will forever be ongoing. So also is the case of the university as a system and the library, which informs the other. It is very important to understand this argument, as no department or course of study ever commences in any university unless the required information resources needed to satisfy the information need of the student and staff within the department have been made available. It is upon this basis that the National University Commissions gives approval, what is ordinarily known as accreditation, to the commencement of any program or course of study within the university. This makes the university library an important component of every university system. It will also be right to say a university is as important as its library. A university is as rich as its library. In a bid to achieve the objectives of any university, university libraries are generally structured or organized into sections and departments. These sections and departments are established to support the smooth running of its affairs. Among the various sections found in most university libraries in Nigeria, we have what is referred to as the circulation section. This is a section whose activities revolves around lending of library books and other material to users of a library. The basic function of this department is to facilitate and monitor the circulation of books from regular collection. In addition, the department is usually responsible for circulating some books from other collections, as well as the circulation of non-book materials. In the circulation section, there is usually a circulation desk, which is typically located near the entrance of the library. It is there to ensure equitable distribution of materials among different users. As a result of this, circulation are established within libraries within a policy about who can borrow items, which items may be borrowed, for how long they may be borrowed, and what happens when an item is not returned as at when due. Some of the functions of the circulation section also revolves around what is described as charging and discharging of materials timely and with ease, show the eligibility of a borrower to enjoy a facility. The circulation also facilitates overdue alerts and notifies the user. The circulation also charges users for not returning an information resources borrowed as at when due. They keep statistics of the records of discharged books as well as the registered users of every library. Another important section found in university libraries is the reference section. This section houses the library's reference information resources. Examples of reference information resources are the dictionaries, encyclopedias, almanacs, atlases, maps, and a host of others. The reference resources are used to provide quick and accessible information on any particular topic a user so seek information into. The materials are usually used to find facts or provide broad overviews of topics. They are meant to be accessible to as many people as possible and as such are not permitted to be borrowed out of the library. That is the reference information resources. Reference services may vary from library to library, but most libraries have an information or reference desk where an assistant known as a reference librarian are usually available to answer all reference queries or questions. Among the functions of the reference librarian is to assist or provide instruction with using the library, as well as including locating materials, using the library catalog, or using the computers. They also perform the function of assisting in identifying library materials needed to answer a question. They provide brief, factual answers to questions such as addresses, statistics, phone numbers that will aid the conduct of any research. Other than the circulation and the reference section, we also have what is known as the serial section in a library. This section offers great access to the serial publications that are available in the library. Serial publications are referred to as publications issued in successive parts at regular or irregular intervals. Examples of serial publication is a newspaper, a journal, magazines. Very important among the serial collections that aid research in most institutions of higher learning are the journals. They are the most important to researchers because much of articles there found in a journal are product of extensive research with unique findings which may never appear in other types of information resources. As a result, academic libraries ensure they provide access to latest journals in order to support teaching, learning, and research. University libraries also have the reserve section. This section provides access to rare and materials that are usually in high demand. Some information resources are rare and several copies of them are no longer available, while other information resources are usually in high demand by students across different fields of study. As a result of these factors, these resources are not allowed to be borrowed or taken out of the library, as is the case with the circulation information resources. Therefore, reserve section houses or holds this type of resources, and access to them are provided upon the presentation of a means of identification, and a user is expected to make use of them within a stipulated period, usually hours, upon which they are expected to return it and then go back with it if there's so need, in the event there is nobody waiting to use that particular information resources. We also have the e-library section, the electronic library section. This is the section of the library that provides users with access to computer facilities. These computer facilities are used to access electronic information resources. In addition, the e-library section provides users with access to free internet services, where a user is expected to come with their computers or their handheld device to connect using a cable or to the library's Wi-Fi. In other cases, computers are provided for people who doesn't have a personal computer to themselves. There is also the special need section. This is having understood all we have been discussing. It is hoped that at this stage, a newly admitted student into Bayero University Kano should be able to go about their activities and also be able to find their way across the library in search of different information resources. Bye-bye.